Hi, I'm Brian Kuhn. You're watching Your Future, Your Finances. I'm talking with Jim DeCarlo of Aegis International. Previously, we were talking about business owners and consulting to them for growth and change, positive change. Thanks for coming back on.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Last time we were talking about change and how difficult it can be for some people in their interest in getting to where they're trying to go. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Right. I think I said, people put their hand up for progress, but nobody puts their hand up for change.
Right.
Change is the key thing holding people back in business. They hit ceilings of complexity, and those ceilings of complexity are hold them down from moving to the next level because that requires change. But what people tend to do is they tend to resist it. They tend to hold back. They tend to think about all the reasons why they should not change. Mm-hmm. Right? And we do it whether we're changing toothpaste, buying a car, and changing brands or whatever. So you go through what's called a change cycle. And it's not linear. You don't go from here I am today to this is my future state. You go from here I am today, this is where I want to be in the future state, and you go through this. If it's toothpaste, it's a 1 second or 10-second experience. But you go through this curve. If it's changing cars, it might be a little longer process. And you deny, you debate, you rationalize, you justify, and you try to hold on to what you know. Mm-hmm. So we're born and we grow up with these paradigms about who we are, and the future sometimes doesn't sit neatly with that. Mm-hmm. So we go through this challenge. Some people hold on to them quite harshly, and we end up with this really weird view of life sometimes, mm-hmm. and we resist change. There's a great story. A true story. Dale Carnegie wrote about it in How to Win Friends and Influence People, a wonderful book. He tells this really neat story. I'll just paraphrase it. But he says in the 1930s, about 1931, in New York City, there's a gentleman named Two Guns Crowley who was captured by police and sent to the electric chair. But prior to that, he had traveled the city of New York shooting policemen and then emptying their revolver into the fallen body with state bullets, which he later called state bullets, and I used them to defend myself. So he had this picture of himself that was perfect, and he felt like he was the good guy and the cops were the bad guy. This is 1931. Well, 150 policemen laid siege on his apartment. He shot back behind a couch through the window. They chopped holes in the roof of the apartment. They smoked him out, and the police commissioner, John Mulrooney is his name, actually called him the biggest threat New York City's ever seen. This is 1931. He went to court, and the judge said, "Are there any final words after being committed to death?" And Two Guns Crowley stands up and says, "So this is what I get for defending myself." Right? Yeah. Under his note, after he was executed, they found a note under his bed. They found a note written that he had scrawled that said, "To my mother, under this coat lies a weary heart, but a heart that is truly kind." This is a man who left 6 women widowed, mm-hmm. about 18 to 20 children without a father, and used another gun. It's a horrible situation. And it just goes to show, the point of the story is this: we defend, we rationalize, we justify. Mm-hmm. When someone presents a picture that's different from what we know to be true. Mm-hmm. And yet, growth always requires change in business and in life. Yeah,
and certainly running a business, I can imagine there's a lot.
Absolutely.
Has to. So specifically, in your business, you work with financial planners. So this is right. the wealth management, financial planning industry. Why that industry?
It's the industry that I resonate most neatly with. I've been in that industry for 23 years in some form as an executive director, on a board of a property funds management company, and I ran a coaching firm overseas in Australia for about 10 years before returning back to America to set up Aegis International. Advisors need help. They're really good at giving advice. The plumber's pipes leak the most. Advisors do a really good job working with clients, but often their businesses are sitting under a ceiling. Mm-hmm. And what I do is I just help them work through that to deliver client experiences that are repeatable and process dependent that clients actually want. So I help advisors move their thinking away from products and transactions to processes and systems. Mm-hmm. And the industry's changing. So.
And for anybody in the industry who may be watching, or consumers who are considering working with a planner or who are working with a planner, right. Where do you see this business going in the next 3 years, 5 years?
I see real change coming here to the U.S. The U.S. advice industry is about to go through a significant set of changes that is going to come from D.C., going to come from Congress and the Senate. It has to. Only 4% of the population gets advice. We have a savings issue. We have a retirement issue. We have the baby boomers. 77 million Americans are going to retire in the next 10 years. Fees and transparency are going to change. The need to have a clear, neatly articulated value proposition is going to be required. I see change coming over the hill, and it's going to really disturb the industry and protect consumers more. So I think that's a good thing.
So as a planner who may be watching that and agreeing with that as myself, what would you say one thing like a firm would do to stay ahead of that?
The first thing is to accept it. The first is to acknowledge it. The second is to accept the changes coming. I think being able to have conversations with clients around how you get paid properly, possibly through a blend of fees and commissions, but certainly how you get paid and being transparent in that, that's key. I think the day of the transaction type advisor or insurance agent is gone. It's going to take 3 to 5 years, but it's gone. It's already happened all over the world, except in America, and we're the last to go through reform. I think advisors that are in front of the curve are starting to put in place really clear understanding of who they serve, why they serve them, and kind of how they get paid for that service. That's key.
So overseas, the financial planning or wealth management business looks different?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Retirement savings, for example, you cannot charge a commission on. Commissions have been stripped out of the products, even annuity products. The insurance agent has pretty much gone away. Branches were shut down. Mainly fee-based advice is all you now have in the UK, South Africa, Australia, everywhere else. Best practice now exists outside America rather than in, although our technology is advanced. So we're in a really neat space here in the States.
And we were talking in the past about that having something to do with 9/11 and really the hold that put on the industry in terms of change.
You're going way back in the conversation we had. It is a sad coincidence that reform in the U.S. globally was happening at the retail level. And when 9/11 hit, all the money went to the war in Iraq, rightfully so. It went to Homeland Security, and it went to other technologies. We stopped in the States. Globally, they kept moving forward. And right now, a little over 10 years later, the U.S. is now catching up.
Interesting stuff. Do you have a website you want to give out?
I do. I'm putting a white paper on this exact issue on change up there very soon. It's www.international-ages.com.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it. Hope the consumers and also industry participants who may be watching got some takeaways from that. Again, my name is Brian Kuhn. You're watching Your Future, Your Finances.